I reviewed this speaker on the channel a while ago and fell in love with it. It has the best clarity and punch and EQ range of any speaker I have heard at this price range and in this size. I absolutely adore this speaker. So they have sent me the Tronsmart T6 Plus speaker and some wireless earbuds called the Spunky Pro. What are you laughing at? What's wrong with Spunky? The Spunky Pro... Stop laughing! The Spunky Pro earbuds, and so I'm going to review those on the channel, because that name definitely translated well to the English market. So the first thing this has over the Tronsmart Element Mega is it has some level of waterproofing. I live in Britain. We don't have swimming pools. We have a lot of rain though. I could take this out in the rain and have a party. Excellent. So this is IPX6, which means that it is splash proof. You can throw water at it, but if you drop it in your pool, it'll make a really nice float for the rest of its life, because it won't be a speaker anymore. It'll be dead. The T6 Plus has a hang on a minute. 6,600 milliamp battery. That's exactly the same as the Tronsmart Element Mega. I wouldn't be surprised if they are using identical batteries because they take exactly the same length of time to charge completely, about 5 hours, and to then drain completely at about 80% volume, about 15 to 16 hours worth of music, which is phenomenal. The only key difference between the two is that the Tronsmart Element Mega uses the old-style USB connection, and the new one, the T6 Plus, uses a USB-C connection, so that's a good thing, I guess. When I first connected this speaker up, I took it to about 60% volume, and I got a message from Nisha saying, "I heard you fart." She thought that my fart had shaken the ceiling. That's how loud she thinks this is. She then realised what it was and told me to turn it the hell down. That was only at 60%. This is a very, very loud speaker. I don't think there's any difference in its maximum volume between this and the Tronsmart Element Mega, but there is a difference when it comes to the lowest volume. When you turn these things both right down to practically nothing, this thing starts to cut out and make weird sounds. Not cool, man. Well, I've had the worst time of my life in the last 6 months, it's true. But I heard some good songs and I fell out of you. The Tronsmart Element Mega does not suffer with this, and so I think this is your party speaker, and this is your kind of good all-rounder. If you want to have a pool party in England, then you would buy this. If you want to have something that just sounds really, really nice, you would buy this. So aside from the issue with the T6 Plus cutting out sound at lower volumes, it also doesn't have as nice of a voice, in my opinion, as the Tronsmart Element Mega does. So the Tronsmart Element Mega has this crystal clear clarity when it comes to things like vocals and snare drums. All those kind of upper mids are really, really pitch perfect. This thing, not so much. The vocals sound a little bit further away in the mix. It sounds like you're further away from the singer, but it has EQ settings on it. So the EQ button on the back will change it from vocal to bassy to stupidly bassy. And stupidly bassy will please teenagers and the like. So if you're looking for something with a really heavy, deep bass sound, you'll probably go for this. If you're more interested in the clarity of your music, you're going to want to get the Tronsmart Element Mega. Ménage à deux. Is that a phrase? I don't know. These are two of the same thing, and they pair together to be a left and a right speaker. And this is something I've always loved about Tronsmart stuff. I once made a whole video about how I felt like She That Should Not Be Named and Google Home had ruined the music industry for good, because everything had become mono, and these things are saving us from that. By being a stereo pair of Bluetooth speakers, you could link either She That Should Not Be Named or Google Home to these via Bluetooth and actually have your music in stereo. That is another really good reason to buy them. Again, personally, for me, I prefer the sound of the Element Mega, and I would recommend getting that one, but if you're looking for an outdoor stereo pair of speakers, you can't go wrong. According to one reviewer on Amazon, the T6 Plus has a charging treasure. A charging treasure! I love that! I think something might be lost in translation. They mean that it has a USB port on the back that will power your phone, which is actually flipping awesome. I've tested it out. It does actually charge my phone up. It did so from about 19% to 50% in the space of an hour. And that's whilst the phone was playing music over Bluetooth. So from that perspective, it really is the perfect party speaker because it's going to keep the party going with its charging treasure. The T6 Plus looks gorgeous. When I first saw it on the internet, I thought, ugh, no, I don't like that. And then it arrived, and I had it in my hands, and I looked at the stitching, was all tight and neat, and I looked at the silver button, and it reminded me of my Nana's 1950s stereo and gave me that warm, fuzzy feeling. And then the blue ring lit up, and then I looked on the bottom and saw that cone pulsating. Sounds rude. And I thought, I absolutely love the way that looks. I actually probably prefer it to the Tronsmart Element Mega. The Tronsmart Element Mega has this beautiful white light that comes out of the top of it, but aside from that, it's kind of all function and no form. The T6 Plus, on the other hand, unfortunately, is mostly form and very little function. The buttons on the back are kind of hard to press. They're on the back, which is kind of unhelpful. And yeah, I don't really have much more to say about that other than the silver knob doesn't always do what you want it to either. So, I mean, you're trying to turn the volume up and it doesn't, and then you spin it a little bit further and then the volume rockets through the ceiling and your missus thinks you farted. And that's kind of it. So, very pretty to look at. I would prefer it if the buttons were easier to press and the button on the top did what it was meant to do every single time. Speaking of buttons that don't quite do what you would expect them to, the little twisty dial on the top is also something that you can press. So if you press it once, it plays and pauses the music that is playing. If you hold it down for a second, it should start your voice assistant on your phone. What's the weather like?
Thanks.
You're welcome. Unfortunately, it's like speaking to an old lady over the telephone. She gets very confused most of the time, and even worse than that, unfortunately, there's no microphone in this thing. It's only starting the voice assistant on your phone, which means that your phone needs to be close enough to hear you. So although it can start the voice assistant, its functionality isn't that great. Price-wise, they've got this thing about right. It's £2 or £3 more than the Tronsmart Element Mega, but it's different tools for different jobs. Whereas the Tronsmart Element Mega will sit on a bookshelf and sound absolutely glorious, this thing will go out of your house and party with you. If you take the Element Mega out in the rain, it will die. This thing will never die. It's physically solid as a rock, and you can throw that in your bag without worrying about it breaking. The only part that I think is kind of like waiting to get punctured is on the underside, but there's a good amount of clearance before you get to that. So your little bass boofer, don't get that pierced, because that will wreck it completely. That is the only part that I think is marginally vulnerable. But as speakers go, you've got TWS pairing, so you're going to have a good stereo set of speakers out on your camping trip. This is a really good speaker. I would prefer the Tronsmart Element Mega for indoor use, and I would prefer this thing for outdoor use. So, if you're interested in buying one, as usual, there are links in the description. If you buy through that link, you'll be doing me a massive favour, because I'll get a kickback at no expense to you. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Paul didn't mention the Spunky Pros at all. Spunky! The reason is I've run out of time for this episode, so make sure you hit me up on social media and subscribe to the channel, because one way or another I will be reviewing these via either some sort of written communication or I might do a review on the channel later on, so make sure you are hitting me up on the socials and on the subscribers thing. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see some more of this guy, hit that subscribe button and then ding that bell. Dinging that bell will ensure you get notified when I actually upload videos, which would be good. Come and hang out with me at the usual locations, all the Twitters and the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and if you want to make these videos a possibility like these amazing people here, I don't thank them enough, ever, so let me thank them again. Thank you so much. Honestly, you make these videos happen. If you want to be one of these people, you can do so at either Patreon or buy me a one-off beer at PayPal, and I'll love you forever. I'll see you next time. What's wrong with spunky? Spunky. Spunky! Spunky! So they have sent me... I can't do it. Let me just start again. You can throw water at it, but if you put it in your swimming pool. And your ears are just like, ooh, I'm a pair of ears. Which will actually...
Please try again a bit later.
Shut up, you